He always looks at you when he says liable, doesn't he?
How about slander? Can I slander them?
Yeah, that's, be all right. You have to write that down, don't you?
I need a pen there, Bob.
Slander.
Don't
One
need
of
a
them,
pen.
one of them's written and one of them's
Slander,
spoken.
slander, I believe, is written, verbal, isn't it?
I think it's the other way around, but I may be wrong. I'm not
I don't
sure.
know.
But we're on the internet.
Are we?
But if you can be sued for it, I've probably been sued for it.
Hello,
Hello?
folks, wherever you are, Mrs. Calabash and you,
And all the ships at sea.
yeah,
And all you want
all
over in
the
China.
ships at sea,
And,
yeah.
and them our
We
cruise
want to
ships.
welcome you to
that they want that
Lafayette,
stop.
Tennessee, US of A.
Does this include that cruise ship that they won't allow to come
Right.
into Mexico?
Right, if you want to call us,
So they can land it here.
dial
Yeah.
423-562-1450.
No.
No, 566-1450. Or
Then,
423-562-3557.
No.
yeah, 3557.
It is- I thought you were going back to 1450.
No.
Okay.
Now, if you want to get somebody else, just go ahead and dial
Yeah.
562, yeah.
Yep.
Welcome you here.
I would say that if you want to talk to somebody, the best number to call, if you don't want to call 562-5444, would be, 423-201-5917.
What's the post office?
You can talk to me all you want to on that number, but I may not hear what you're saying.
You may not hear it ring, but you hear it, you hang up. I don't know the post office number, it's in the book now, and I promptly forgot it.
Well, we want to welcome you here. We got a lot of things going on here. I talked to a man today, he said, when we got away from talking about what's going on here locally and took the easy route to talk about Barack Obama and people in the state government, that we were not doing what we had done in the past. That we were taking the easy way out. That's probably true, because you get no feedback, no repercussions, nothing, as long as you don't, as long as you're not putting it locally.
I think that's a good point, Bob. I think we should concentrate on local politics. Since,
Bowl of butter beans.
When the county passed Rule 13, where you had to submit anything that you wanted to speak about to the county mayor first, he had to approve it before you were allowed to speak. Now, there's a whole lot more to this Rule 13 than...
Hey,
Go ahead.
hold
Are
on,
we on?
hold on. We're on.
Okay, hey folks, we want to welcome those of you who are out in the radio land to the Wild Bob and Ronnie show. We're pleased to have you. I'm your host, Wild Bob. I got my massacre of ceremonies over here, Ronnie Sharp to my right.
Hello.
We're pleased to have Jerry Kidd and also R.L. Henson with us to round out our little group. And we're pleased to have you, and we hope you'll stay tuned. And if you have some concerns, if you'll call us at 566-1450 or 562-3557. 377, what is it?
3557.
3557.
You're right, Bob.
Okay, I was right, a sight, wasn't it?
you're always right.
Right, now we're back to
Right
what
or the
Ariel
other.
was talking about on, local thing here.
I'll add to what you said. It said, it may not be right, but ain't never wrong.
Right, said exactly whatever I say, when they correct me, I said, that's exactly what I said.
At least what you meant. Now, what I was speaking about there before we went on the radio was about this Rule 13 that was passed in the Lice County Commission.
Is that really the number?
Yeah, that's the number.
Ain't that amazing?
Rule 13. And I didn't make that up, it's on top of it, and I've got a copy of it. I don't bother to read it much anymore, it may be illegal to read it. But in this Rule 13, of course, you had to submit anything that you wanted, if you had a subject that you wanted to discuss before the county commission, you had to submit it to the county mayor in
That's a
writing.
week prior.
Well, I don't know what the time date was, but you had to submit it before or whatever. And then he had to clear it that you was allowed to speak on it. Now, there was all sorts of ways you could kind of, well, there's a lot of rules that goes along with it. And here's one of the things that really, just the fact of getting the permission to speak, then one of the rules was that you could not, they worded it as harass the commission. What they meant is you're not allowed to ask a question. You can get up there, say what you got to say, but you can't ask a question. Now, that's where part of the problem arose when somebody asked the question of the county
I
commission.
wonder who that was.
Yeah, I wonder who that was. Whenever,
My understanding of the historicity of that issue is Melvin Bowsher's blamed the whole thing on you, Mr. Henson.
well, that's all right, we won't get into that. That was an interesting thing.
Hey, I think he went
Let me get off.
I think he had as much school as you had.
Well, yeah, well,
Third grade.
I finished
Well,
in
he
first
got
grade.
about
But
it.
anyhow,
You finished third grade.
anyhow, this all came about because of the County Powers Act. And
Yeah.
that really bugged me. When I found out that they had passed this County Powers Act, and I had never heard of such thing, and then when I heard it passed, I read it. And it's outrageous what's in this thing. This County Powers Act is as bad as Rule 13. But there was...
Worse.
Oh, yeah, the
The
Rule
Rule
13...
13 is not part of the County Powers Act.
No, the Rule 13 was passed after I spoke before the county commission
They
on a
should have named
proxy.
it the R.L. Henson rule.
Well, people said that I spoke forever up there, but I didn't. I counted the time. I spoke 3 times, and you were allowed 5 minutes, but I spoke with a proxy.
What concerned them is you had 3 months of people's proxy time lined up.
Well, I believe the Senate of the United States uses proxy. And if you come right down to it, if you don't get
You
technical.
can yield, yeah, you can yield time.
Okay, when we elect
That's
people.
part of Robert's rules. You can yield time from one speaker to another.
We don't use Robert's rules, since dear old Adrian's gone.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
They don't use any rules, judging by the way that pass,
They don't
wheel
use no
tax,
common sense either.
no common sense or law.
right now, the County Powers Act is still in force. Until it is repealed, a vote to rescind it, it will still, all of these rules are still in force. They may not be enforcing them right now, but they can step back anytime they so choose and enforce them.
The same way with the building codes, they're running out of time to get rid of that.
Absolutely, the building codes, all this stuff is in force. But right now, if they don't vote to rescind the Rule 13, whenever you get up there to speak, if you have not submitted this to our current county mayor, you're in violation of the law.
No, that's not a law, that's a regulation.
Okay, what is it?
They could not charge you with a criminal offense.
Nothing
Well,
escorts
wait
you
just a
out of the
minute, wait just a
courthouse.
minute, Rob.
They can
Bob,
trump up
If you
charges,
go back,
disturbing the peace. and
that's
all
right,
that.
if you go back to the County Powers Act, the County Powers Act can declare you as a nuisance. Or they can declare anything
You ought to be
else.
used to that, but now I'm in
Well, I'm
law.
used to
Well, I've been declared a nuisance for a long time.
Well, the point is,
Now, the thing, Rule 13 only violates 1/5 of the First Amendment of the Constitution. The County Powers Act violates every
I
law,
don't agree.
federal and state law.
I do not agree. The First Amendment does not say that the county commission cannot limit your speech.
No.
well,
It says Congress shall make
Congress
no
shall
law.
make no law.
okay,
I stand corrected. Thank you, Ron.
okay,
Bob?
you're correct. If, the county,
Traditionally, the Supreme Court has gone.
But according to rulings set by precedent and rulings that come before the Supreme Court,
I agree,
it is a violation of
I
the free
agree,
speech.
I agree,
Because they misinterpreted the First Amendment.
I agree.
Well, anyhow, the county.
Well, we messed that right up,
I'll
didn't
tell
we?
you what, the County Powers Act, it's in force and it will stay in force. And in my opinion, Rule 13 will never be rescinded. They might amend it to where that you're allowed 5 minutes and 3 seconds, no proxy, do not, well, the way it stands now, you're not allowed to ask a question.
Oh, let me mention something to you. Prior to the passage of the County Powers Act, and prior to the implementation of Rule 13, I was denied the right to speak before the county commission, and the only way I got to speak was to have one of the councilmen get the floor and relinquish it to me.
That is correct. Now, that can be done now.
I understand that.
A county commissioner can submit his time or,
Get recognized to speak.
yeah, a county commissioner can do that, but what you're doing then, you're speaking as a proxy.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
see what I'm saying? So
Well,
there's a,
Well, no, not if you're speaking for yourself when you get up there.
But
You
you're
have
using
used,
somebody else's
you have
time.
used a maneuver to get the floor.
No, well-
But if you were gonna get up there and say, I wanna speak, and I said, yes, would you not be saying the same thing as if you had the county commissioner to relinquish his time for you
But
to
they said,
speak?
yes, they gave you the right to do it. If you go through somebody else's time, then you're actually using theirs, not yours. They've not given you that time.
Well, I understand that, but you're still saying the same
I
thing,
agree with that.
huh?
well,
You know,
anyhow,
Alan Ladd used to have a radio show called
Right.
Box 13.
used to, before this Rule 13 was enacted, you could go to the county commission, they had a list, they had a booklet there, you could go up and sign your name, you didn't have to say what subject you wanted to speak
Right.
on,
That's right.
or whatever, and you could speak
Right,
right there. Or if you had a question, you could ask a question.
yeah. But-
And now here was the question that
But
was asked.
here's the problem. I went up and signed the book. They
Yep.
still would not let me speak.
That's right.
Well, that was,
That was without the County Powers Act and without the Rule of 13.
Well, I believe that after the meeting was over, was not David Young conducting that meeting? Because I remember a meeting that you went there,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
David Young,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. Well, Bob Ronnie,
I'm sorry, but phone number.
Okay, thanks for calling
Be
anyhow.
sure and call back.
right,
But anyhow, what I'm getting around to, I guess, these rules, we make them, we put them on there, and if there's somebody that you want to use them against, you use them.
Well, I've got my pet peeve for the week, and that's it. We got 15 county commissioners down there, one of whom I voted for. I voted for one of them. I voted for one of them. And all 15 of them voted for a tax increase without
one
any,
way or the other.
without any cuts. Now, they've got a chance to redo this because they done allowed them out of this year wheel tax thing, so they're gonna have to redo the thing. But still, the $1.99 stands, they voted for tax increase. They couldn't find not one penny that they could cut from the county budget. They
Lord,
voted
they
for,
would have been sued.
they voted for a tax increase and didn't insist on any cuts at all.
Right,
My vote's gonna stay in my pocket now unless something happens because of this. You go out, there's several examples of this, but the one that's just so obvious that anybody can see, you drive out to the Money Hole Park, look off the White Bridge and see the sand running in the lake. They've spent $22,000 down there running sand in the lake, but they can't find one penny that they can cut from the budget. If you're gonna raise my taxes, okay, I don't agree, but show a little physical responsibility and cut something. Cut anything. That's
That's small.
$22,000.
When you
saw,
get sued.
I saw a video on this on Facebook, produced, directed, and filmed by Ronnie,
Yeah, that's me.
the Ronnie half of the Wild Wild Run show, and it was an exceptional job because it showed where you have a beach of rock
Yep.
and where the sand is clearly being washed down the beach, around the rock, and into the water.
And you got a few ditches in it too. If you go to,
Got-
UGTV.tv
Got-
and go to the featured video, you can see it too.
It's absolutely horrifying that we have spent $22,000 to have sand washed into the lake where it's totally unusable because God knows where it goes once it
But
gets in the water.
let me ask something, is it not worth $22,000 to take care of your relatives?
Which ones?
The ones that haul the
I don't
sand,
believe the
the ones that
relatives.
haul the
My
sand.
relatives live better than that. $22,000 was only. But when you add that in with the other $750,000 that's been wasted on Money Hole Park, plus a couple $100,000 for a ball field, $100,000 here and there.
Plus an ongoing expense.
Oh, this right here is part of the.
Oh, a park director to cover 1 acre, and he has a full-time assistant.
Yep.
Paid for with a county tax dollar, and they
I
don't
don't
have
blame the
anything
guy
to
for
cut.
taking the job. I blame the people for offering the job myself.
Well, I do want to take this opportunity to apologize to the people of Campbell County. I live in the 2nd District. We sent the 3 sorriest county commissioners we've ever sent in the whole time I've ever lived in this county. They're the county commission. All 3 of them vote for anything Marlowe tells them to vote on, whether it's a tax increase, an expenditure, or what. And they are a disgrace to the people of America and the people of this county. And I want to sincerely apologize. One of them, he used to have a nickname of Mailman. Now his nickname has been changed to Taxman. Taxman, because he's voted for every tax increase that Marlowe
Well,
tells him to vote for.
You have to understand, he works for the government to start with. All of his income, all of his wealth and everything has been derived from the government. So why wouldn't he vote for everything?
What bothers me is he sat on my porch and agreed with me that we needed cuts. We needed to cut waste because there's a lot of waste in our local government. He agreed with that. He agreed that the elderly are on fixed incomes and it would be a lot easier to cut overhead, waste, and expense rather than raise taxes and put the burden on the elderly.
Right. Well,
He agreed with that. And then we had one guy run for county commissioner from our district that ran on a verbal pledge that he would not vote for any tax increase, and he's voted for every one of them.
Well,
It's absolutely horrifying.
That's the way it goes. One thing that concerns me is a lot of times now, the sand deal is something you can look at and point very specific at, that you bought $22,000 worth of sand. That probably was only good for 1 season, the rest of it's gonna be in the lake. The only other way you can contain it is to build a retaining wall around there.
That wouldn't be a
It
beach.
still
Would be even then when the
Which
water
would
rises.
actually be legal.
Huh?
Which would actually make it legal. It's
Yeah.
illegal as it says.
My question is, are they hauling them rocks in, those rocks in your
No,
video on
they're
that
there.
beach?
They're there too.
They were already there, or did they haul some in?
No, the rocks are over
Now, I
there.
see, you maybe brought them in, didn't
Yeah.
Well, it makes them rocks.
The big
Well,
rocks.
The sand
gravel
makes the
is
rocks.
Where the sand's already washed off and left the regular.
Well,
You know, used to, we had a beautiful rocky beach. Now, we got an ugly beach because the rocks are out of flavor.
Well, fellas,
Well, what I was gonna
Go ahead.
allude
Go ahead,
to
Ron.
here was now, we got something specific that we can talk about. But what really hits us hard is all those things that it's hard to get your finger on. Now, I'm just wondering if anybody has any figures as to how many employees are employed by the sheriff's department? Anybody know?
Well, I can give you one figure. I got into a debate with one of the deputies, and he said they had 18 patrol officers.
I know that, that's not what I'm
Well,
talking
but let me finish this. He said, but they're so understaffed because they have to handle 16,000 calls a year and complaints. He said calls and complaints.
Yeah, well, I understand that. Yeah.
Well, if you divide that up and calculate it mathematically, that's less than 3 calls or complaints per officer per day.
Right, okay, all right, now, let's get back, how many employees does anybody know how many employees the sheriff's department has, total?
You gotta pay $300 to the finance office to get a printout.
I had an estimate, I think prior to the, not this election, but the other election or something like that, and it was estimated at about 100.
Okay.
Now, that's
All
just
right. Now,
somewhere thereabouts, close to it.
That's one of the points I'm trying to make here. You talk about 18 patrol officers, that leaves 84 people in the sheriff's department's employee. You don't mean that there's not some way they could cut 1, 2, or 3 or 4 more groups
Well,
out
now
of that 84 and make patrol officers?
That's not the goal. The goal is to empire build and see who all can get over 100 employees. LUB, they got over 100. City of La Follett's got over 100. Sheriff's Department's got over 100. Finance office got over 100. I mean,
Oh, Lord.
No, not quite, but
pretty close. He's getting there.
It just
He's
seems that
getting there.
we're
He
paying
won't
them
be
to hire
quiet.
100.
We have the largest finance office in East Tennessee, including Knox County.
Well, gentlemen, if we get, I'm pretty sure a lot of the residents heard Mr. Slusher Wednesday night, and he hit upon something, and it's been alluded to in the journal about the fund, that we have something, I caught the number of $8 million in a fund, and I would assume that that would be the general fund. And there's lots of questions, and there's lots of things that we don't get. Come up every year, they run a page or two of stuff in the paper showing the budget. Okay? The budget only shows you what they took the year before, what they expect this year, and what they're going to spend that next
not
year.
what they did with it.
Okay, that's right. If you look at that budget, there's other things. Mr. Slusher had to look a little deeper, because this $8 million that was mentioned is not in the budget. It's on the balance sheet, somewhere in the balance sheet. And this is the stuff that the citizens out here, whenever they pick up a paper and read that thing that they put in there, they're no further ahead as far as knowledge than they ever was. If you get to see the balance sheet, if you could see where the money is being spent, and I'd be willing to bet that there's names of companies, organizations, everything under the sun that's wired in to, that we're paying, that nobody ever hears about, nobody ever votes on. The county commission don't even know where this money is going. And I refer back to something that William Baird said, not this time, but in the last election, that we had an industrial recruiter hired through a company out of Knoxville. Well, I tried to research the thing. I tried to run it down. They've got a suite at Executive Park in Knoxville. I called, you cannot talk to a person.
No, you know what? I guarantee you that office over there is one of these that they only use when they have to, and they have a general person there answering. That's what that executive suite is. Somebody answers it for it and relays messages.
Well, they don't even have a person. I could not even contact a person.
They're like AT&T
Well, but this is what I'm saying.
and Verizon.
What?
It's like that lane company that was gonna put in the ash dump. They got a P.O. box at Pioneer over there in the middle of nowhere.
What Mr. Slusher has touched on here is just the tip of this iceberg. There's more stuff going on and has for decades that nobody knows anything about.
Exactly.
The county commissioners don't. Right now, and this is where I get back to Rule 13, you ought to be allowed to ask a question. And that's where I got into trouble, when I asked the county commission, the whole kit and caboodle, how many of them read the County Powers Act before they voted on it. There was not a single one of them raised their hand and said that they had read it. All right? I come back, and that's when I used up 15 minutes of time. I come back the next time, and I asked them how many people had read it. Well, all kinds of hands shot up, they'd read it. Next question was, how many of you had understood it? Nobody understood it. They said they'd read it, but they didn't understand it. Now this is what we're electing, or these are our leaders. And if you're going to follow leaders,
They're not the leaders. They are followers of Jeff Marlowe, and they were followers of the county mayor and those people, the powers that the people that really run this county.
okay, that's the point I was going to make.
The people siphoning the money out of the county treasury into their own personal pockets
What you,
are the ones who go down there and speak up the loudest for a tax increase.
I heard Cliff Jennings say something one time, and he said that somebody had accused him of doing something along the lines of getting money out of the treasury. A politician is too dadgum smart, or most of them are, some of them end up in jail, by taking money straight out of the treasury or the fund. You don't do it that way. You funnel it off into a legitimate something and you get a kickback off of it. And there's tons of kickbacks that have been done through this county over the years and years, and there's no way you can prove it, no way you can chase it down.
Right. Well, they had a chance. They had a chance to prove it on the traffic lights when they canceled that contract, rebid, used the same material, but yet we had to refund to that company. That was refunding the kickback was all it was.
You can't. That thing stunk from the word go.
What
And
about
Cliff was right in the middle of that too.
What about a
they know
private
that.
citizen who purchased the post office from the U.S. government, 30 days later sells it to the city for a $60,000 profit?
Well, all I can say is I hope he don't go in the roofing business. He put me
And who
out.
spoke the loudest in favor of that sale?
Well,
Mayor Mike Stanville.
Well, and also, the man that owned the building's daughter was on the city council.
And she was also living in Jacksboro at the time she was on the city council.
Right, yeah.
I'll tell you what, our government.
I give up on this thing. We done had the lick, but we might well
I
give
mean,
up.
there's just so much cleaning to do.
You fix,
that
you
hardly
fix,
get
you
through it.
fix.
well, gentlemen, here's what it boils down to.
They just get sneakier.
By the way, we gotta do something. We need to tell them where to get some propane. It's turning
Well, I will
cold.
tell you what the truth, you know, with this global warming that's going around, you're gonna need more propane than you think you will. And the best and only place I know to get it is right down in Sawmill Hollow where the road split, and you got Von Digger Wilson's establishment there, just putting out some of the best propane you'll ever buy, and you're getting more for your money than anywhere I know
And
of.
one thing is, it's flammable.
He's hauling kids over to the circus today,
Right.
isn't he?
He is. Well, first off, thank you, Digger. You do a service to the community. Besides doing a service of keeping the community warm and all their meat fried and the refrigerator running, 5625. What's that number?
5444.
I thought it was 5444.
No, 5444.
5444?
5444.
Digger Wilson, Sawmill Holler, and we sure do thank you, Digger.
Right, thank you, Digger. Now, where was we before you were so gently interrupted?
I was going to make a personal opinion, and
No, that's what
no,
got the Rule
that's what
13.
got the Rule 13. And I'm not going to say
Is that
this.
invocable here?
Whatever happened to catch
You've not
22?
submitted this yet.
Well, in this county, and this is the only county I've ever had permanent residence in. I've been around a lot of other places.
Been locked up in other counties.
Yeah, and I never paid any attention. I just worked in places and never took any interest in their politics or whatever. And I never took much interest in it here. Whenever you're driving so many hours a day and 24 hours of whatever, you don't get interested in it. But anyhow, when we have an election, all we do is we change the people who are sitting down at that desk and change that little nameplate. That's what we do.
You're wasting money on a nameplate.
That's all it is. And this is kind of a pessimistic view of our local government, and I think it extends into all forms of government, all the way to the presidency. We change those people, but we do not change the people who run the place. This county is run by people who you'll never hear say a word about anything. They'll never take a position on anything whatsoever out here in the public. And that's where this county's at, and it will not change, in my opinion, until we do something that's illegal, and I'm not suggesting that, but somewhere along the line, it's the only way that you'll ever change the people who are in positions of power. Now, I'm not talking about I'm talking about the ones you never hear from, but yet they've got the say-so as to how things are done.
Well, what you have to do, you have to elect somebody that's strong enough to stand up against them.
Okay.
What we need is that bunch of
And smart
veterans
enough.
that came home to Athens after World War II.
That was basically kind of what I was thinking along those lines.
You know, I tried to get a remedy to this problem with these people getting elected and then going against what they promised or what they said they'd do. I wrote a recall act, adapted from several other states that have a recall act, like Wisconsin and Wyoming, Montana, and places, and built a recall act specifically for Tennessee. And our newly elected representative to the State House wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Let me ask you something. Do you honestly think that a politician is going to encourage a law that would allow you to recall him? Do you really think that's gonna happen?
So I approached other Republicans, and some of them were bold enough to talk to me reasonably about why they could not get it passed, is because all the county commissions throughout the state, all 95 county commissions would be opposed to it. So representatives couldn't go against their local politicians.
What about Ronnie?
Hey, what about Ronnie?
Hey, how are you?
I'm okay, darling. I love you guys.
Great.
What time does the obituaries come on the weekend?
5, I believe. I believe it's at 5 o'clock. I
Yeah,
believe.
5, I think, yeah.
5
Okay.
o'clock.
5
Well,
o'clock.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
who's
may
in
be,
trouble today?
Do you have internet?
Do I have no?
What's that?
Okay.
What they
Hold on, I'll ask.
hold on, we'll find
here.
out.
What they asking
when
about?
do-
Hold on a minute.
When do you post the obituaries on your TV and radio?
They won't be on TV today, they'll be on radio in 5 to 5:30 block.
5 to 5:30.
At-
5 to
that-
5:30.
Is that AM or FM?
There you go. Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a reason it follows our show.
Oh, okay, thank you, darling.
Yeah. You gotta
See ya.
sleep up after this.
Thank you.
Love you. I love you guys. You have a great evening.
They're hoping they might have 4 extra names on
Thank
there.
you.
See
ya.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Well, we buried the dead, now let's dig up some bodies.
They've been trying to bury us for about 12 years,
Yeah, buried.
but they haven't succeeded it yet.
Well, I have to say, you two guys have done more to
Stir up trouble.
to
Get
prohibit
ourselves in trouble.
and stop some really bad things coming down the pipe. Like, for instance, the tax on vermin.
Yeah. You know, I just hated, what got me is I hated to get up every morning and start counting cockroaches, cause knowing that every one I found was gonna cost me more money.
I really believe that we
Who
can
would
mount,
believe that would actually be in law that they tried to pass?
Well, read the County Powers Act. They can actually
Yeah, they can.
restrict religion if they want to.
or what?
They can control, and it lists a whole bunch of things that they can control, and in there says comma, calling, comma. A calling is like a minister who gets called to preach. So they could,
Well, Bob's a preacher.
Well,
He's preaching anarchy.
before they had the County Powers Act, the County Powers Act is what gave them the power to do that. If, without the County Powers Act, if they went out here and tried to do that, they'd be tied up in all kinds of things, legal aspects. But by passing this County Powers Act, it enables them to do those things.
Right. What about Ronnie?
They've got music cutting in on your broadcast. You need to see about it.
Okay, we'll do that. Let's see what we got going here.
Are you listening on AM or FM?
I'm listening to TV.
Okay, thank you. That's,
They got music on it.
Okay, thank you.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, we're,
Yeah,
fixing a switchboard.
Oh, okay, they're working on switchboard. Thank you for calling.
we ain't even on, don't believe.
You know, what I was gonna say, as far as the County Powers Act is concerned,
That one work?
I believe we
That
could
one
mount,
work, ain't on.
if we put our mind to it, we could mount an offensive against
That
that
on.
that would culminate,
This one don't work.
culminate in the rescission of that County Powers Act.
say that again, Bob.
I believe that you can mount an effort
Might well just
Okay.
pitch this out
to
before it don't
rescind the
work.
County Powers Act that would be successful. I believe you can bring that much power to be against the county commissioners if you put your mind to it.
I'm sure you could, Bob. If,
But do I wanna get run out of town again?
okay, let me go back to, let me hit upon another thing right here. Mr. Slusher is in a unique position, and he's not the only one.
What about Ronnie?
Well, just want to let you know that I've tuned in and been listening to all your show today.
Well, thank you, Shirley.
Well, yeah.
And of course, you know, I don't agree
It don't work.
with any tax
Don't worry.
increase.
It really puts a burden on all of us poor folk that are on fixed incomes.
Yeah, when you're, only living on $966 a month and you can't even pay your own taxes, and then, them add a tax increase. As you know, my husband was diagnosed with dementia, I guess you know that. And we're living on a low income, and to have a tax increase is devastating.
But you know, people that are earning 55,000 a year from, federal, state, and county treasuries, city treasuries, they could care less about you, Shirley.
Tell me about it, I know that. If I ever, which I plan to sometime, to leave this county, I would never, ever look back. I've lived in McClellan all my life except about 9 years. And I do plan to leave sometime, and, I won't never look back. I love McClellan, the town, the city, but, it's, with all these crooks that, run in our county, then this is not a place that I choose to live.
You know, they really, try to say that our tax rate is below that of counties around us, but our average income is
23,000 less.
well, that's household income is 18,000 a year, and per capita income is 11,800 a year, which is about what you draw and what I draw. And these other counties, their income's household income's 23,000 a year higher than ours, so they can afford higher tax rates, and based on income and tax rate, they actually pay less than we do.
That's right, that's exactly right.
So,
They need to get rid of Jeff Barlow, I mean, that's,
well, he runs the county commission. What would they do without him? He tells them what to vote on, when to vote, how to vote, and what they need to vote on.
yeah.
And he tells them whether they should pass it or vote it down. What would they do without him? You know, our county, well, our county commission worked perfectly until he came along, and now we're spending $1 million a year for an office that we never needed until he showed up.
Yeah, he needs to go. He needs.
Well, they need to shut that entire office down and go back to writing checks in the mayor's office like they used to, and doing the bidding and everything out of the mayor's office.
I was really hoping for something better with this commission, but I'm telling you, as you know, of course, this is what you spoke about, but we've got something worse than what we had before, much worse.
And it appears that way at this point, it sure does.
Yes, it does, and I was so disappointed because I was hoping that we would, get a better commission and everything and do much better than we had before. But I was thinking they made a mistake by not putting some of the other commissioners back in. Because we've got much worse than we had.
By the way, all you folks out there listening, I hope you enjoy the music.
Yeah,
We're paying for it.
Music in the background. I've been hearing that ever since that I tuned in to you when you first came on.
Is this the only show that happens on, or does it happen on a lot of them?
I don't know, it's the only one I ever listened to.
Hey, Monday night, there's gonna be a big meeting down at the courthouse, in the courtroom of the courthouse. County commission, I think they're gonna try to resolve the wheel tax debacle that, we've been illegally paying wheel tax now for 24 years. And both raises were illegal. The initiation of it was illegal, and both raises were handled illegally.
I've been reading about that.
And they're supposed to have a big meeting Monday night, so everybody out there, 6 o'clock, be down at the courtroom.
Hey, listen, they turned the music off.
Oh.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll go and get a ride. We don't have a ride, I can't, that's another thing. I've got a cataract on my eyes and can't drive my car. And then here, I need money to get that done. I don't have insurance. And then here we are with a tax increase.
They don't care about you.
Oh, I know they don't.
Now, there's a couple of surprises down there. Sue Nance, I think, is pretty reputable, and I haven't heard how she's voting on these taxes. But
Everybody voted for approved the budget.
15-0,
Yeah.
and one of the surprises down there has been Cliff Jennings. He's actually.
I don't know, he's something wrong with that boy.
You don't reckon Cliff got saved, do you?
I don't know, he must have.
Well, I
I
tell you what,
figured he knew it was gonna go another way and he was
right
saved.
now, I pat him on the back and give him a big hug.
Well, I don't go that far.
You're,
Yes, sir.
I'd hold his spit cap and let you give him a kiss.
Why, yeah, we sure would. And Scott Stanfield, now he voted against the tax increase.
Scotty's been representing the people.
Well, yeah, that's great.
All three from the 2nd District are representing government and government only.
I'll tell you who we gotta represent here in a minute. We gotta tell them how to get to the hospital.
Well, thank you for the call, Shirley. We'll catch you later.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I just let you know, just tune in, keep
Well,
up with it.
thank you
All
for
right,
listening.
bye-bye.
All right, see ya.
Vital care,
That'll be-
562-9370.
That's right, or you can call 911 and request Vital Care. It's a privately owned medical transportation company, has for over 40 years of experience. It does not cost the taxpayers. It did not figure into this budget process one bit for Vital Care to have their services ongoing. And they will not take any money from our county treasury. It'll make a difference how much business they do, or how many employees they hire, or how many vehicles they use.
The
They are
main thing is
self-supporting.
they just give terrific service.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll haul a tomato juice sickened guy to the hospital,
They've got one
or a
in
heart
fact.
patient, or anybody.
Did you know they've kind of painted their vehicles a little bit toward the tomato juice car.
I wondered about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, they was called
Do they,
tomato
do they
juice
pass out
special.
free preparation aids?
Right.
Did you get any free preparation aids?
No, you know.
5629370.
Of course, I know if you don't use it, what that makes you. Why, Bob Ronnie,
I won't take much of your time, but I did want to say that, Vital Care, we've known Johnny Bond, he, of course, owns Vital Care, and we used them for about a year with our daughter, and they are absolutely the best. I have known Johnny Bond for probably 40 years.
This is one of those unsolicited
But
endorsements.
they are absolutely the best. The county, we've had nothing but problems with them. But if you do need ambulance, I sure suggest you call Vital Care.
562-9370, and thank you very much for your endorsement.
yeah, but meanwhile, back to,
Oh,
Vital
like I
Care.
said,
Well, it also goes to show, why are we wasting $2.5 million of our tax dollars in this county when we have a private company providing the same service? Why is our tax dollars competing against private companies? It would be like our county government buying a McDonald's and putting it up downtown, or buying a hardware store and putting it up
McDonald's would
downtown.
make money.
It's sad that our money is wasted, and they're looking for reasons to cut costs. There's $2.5 million, folks, right there.
It would be nice.
But now, if somebody would guarantee to hire all of the officials and relatives in this new company, they might get something done.
If our county government and city government run this thing as a non-profit organization where they actually broke even, it'd be great. But they actually run it as a loss leader all the time. Everything we do, we expect to lose money on it.
True, that's very true. But you know, I was gonna mention something a while ago, it's a little bit contrary to the way we were looking at things. You know, all these counties surrounding us have a higher tax rate, where we were complaining that our tax rate is too high for our income. Don't you realize that all these people need more done for them by the government than these people that live in these other counties?
No, that's true too.
You know.
Are we that dependent on the government that the people here have to be paid for the
Exactly,
government to
that's exactly
survive?
what's happening.
That's what you're saying, Bob?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening, just like the government. I was so taken back when I heard Cliff Jennings bragging that he had destroyed 250 houses in this town, which were probably older units and everything.
Well, that means you're gonna do the same with old people?
They still go around and count the homeless.
Yeah, and now we've got the current government that's bragging about tearing down 90 houses.
Well, I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah.
And you can still drive through La Follette and see 40 business places completely empty.
40. I counted them from First Street here, all the way down to where it runs into Jacksboro, both sides of the road. And 2 months ago, there was over 102 business doors that accommodated a business that were closed. 102.
Yeah, but we got a walking trail, and we got a brick
That
sidewalk.
a walking trail that dead heads down here at
Don't we have a
Gary,
walking trail to the water plant?
And we got over.
Is that a tourist- is that a tourist site?
Sewage treatment plant.
Sewage
We've also
treatment
got
plant.
one of them fake brick roads across the road there, part of walking trail.
Are we the only community in America that has a tourist walking trail to a sewage plant?
No, but we're the only one that had a walking trail to the sewage plant, a fake brick road to it, and a splash park.
Gentlemen, don't forget, we get covered up with tourists here to come to look, because
Well,
all, all of our traffic lights match.
Yeah,
They
we're gonna
people
get-
travel from everywhere to
we're
see that our traffic lights
Fixing to
match.
get a new hooked bridge.
You know, when I go to the municipal parking lot where
You're
the,
talking about our current bridge that don't have handrails.
the walking trail, you know, goes, through it, the only thing I see is local residents pushing their babies in baby carriages up and down that trail.
To the sewage plant? Why would you wanna take your
Well,
baby to
no,
the
they don't
sewage
take them
plant?
that far, they take them up there, and then they cross that very dangerous and dilapidated walking bridge there on Beach Street.
Yeah,
You know, which they,
The one that has no handrails.
the one that's got.
I don't know what those metal things are, but they're not
But
handrails
see,
according to the mayor.
they want to redo that because of the amount of walking traffic on it. I guarantee there's 10 or 12 people a day cross that bridge.
I doubt it.
There's
Not go with
there's a walking path across that bridge now.
Yeah.
But it just ain't paved and it ain't got false bricks.
But it ain't safe, but the mayor cannot point out a single person
I was
that's
gonna say,
ever
how
been
many
hit
people-
by a car, killed or wounded
How
by
many-
an automobile.
Yeah, that means fall
crossing
off
that
the bridge.
And how many have fallen off the bridge and drowned in Big Creek because there's no handrail?
You might hit your head on a rock in Big Creek. But
You
I
know,
think
if you've ever been over to, Cherokee and walked around the casinos and everything, you know, they got little bridges over them creeks over there with no handrails. And most of those people walking around over there are drunk.
Well, that way we need to get rid of handrails here and start getting more drunk.
We need to open a casino.
Yeah,
Bring back Cliff's Casino.
Gentlemen, y'all hit upon something that I haven't been hearing nothing about. Has anybody heard anything about liquor by the drink being on the ballot this election in the
Yeah.
city of La Follette?
Yeah.
Is it gonna be on
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
Boy, I thought that would be the talk of the town.
You know what's amazing?
Wait just a minute, wait just a
Oh,
minute,
okay.
wait just a minute now. This had to go through the city council, is that correct? To be brought up, to be put
Put on the
on?
ballot.
And there had to be a petition of some sort signed by so many people or something to put this
Yeah,
on
well, they
the
had
ballot.
them down at the voting places this past county election. They had them there.
Well, now this is in the city of La Follette, is that correct?
No, I think
Is
for
it
the
the
whole
county?
county.
The whole county?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't even heard about it.
Let me tell you a phenomenon that has always interested me. Is no matter how many times a liquor referendum fails, it'll be back on the ballot the next time they have an election. But as soon as it passes, it's never on the ballot again. Have you ever noticed that?
Well, once it's passed, well, you put it back on.
It's kind,
No, they should put it on and see if people change their mind.
It's kind of like electing David Young, you know, make a difference whether he's illegal or not. You elect him one time and he becomes illegal.
But if, whenever, now does Carrollville don't have liquor by the drink, they have package stores, don't they?
They have liquor by the drink, or
Yeah,
some
yeah.
by the
They have
drink.
liquor
'Cause-
by the
yeah,
drink?
Well, you can
Okay.
go up to the Mexican place on top of the
Okay.
mountain and get
Okay.
beer,
Look
Now-
at drunk Mexican.
wine.
One-
I don't know if they have mixed drinks or not. Do
Yeah.
they? They do?
Yeah.
So you can have,
I've seen them there big margaritas come out of there and drown the tadpole and 2 or 3 carts.
Well, whenever they pushed this thing before, the pros and the cons, the people for it said that they'd never have to have another tax increase. Of course, you believe that, whatever.
Well, Carroll ain't raised taxes.
Well, no, but, the schools get a portion of that. I think a goodly part of liquor tax, and so many other things are earmarked for school. But then the law enforcement says that they're gonna have a terrible time with all the drunks. Now, has either one of them
Well,
been correct, has it?
I think really it has shown, statistic-wise, that every place liquor has been made legal, that it has always cost more, legally, than it brought in.
do you know the Constitution
Well,
of
wait
the
a minute,
United
wait a minute.
States
Are you
was
talking-
handled the same way these liquor referendums were?
What was?
the Constitution of the United States, it was voted down, especially by Virginia, the major states, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, New York didn't want it.
Just
And they
about
voted
13
down.
are all major.
Jefferson provided the first 10 amendments, that helped pass it in Virginia. Then, they had to vote on it like 6 times in New York before they finally got it passed. Has there been a referendum since to dissolve the union?
Not that I know of. What about Ronnie?
I've got it figured out now how you're gonna, solve this financial problem. You gotta make them commissioners take a financial test before they ever can run. Make sure they know how to handle finances before you elect them.
They know how to handle their own finances, and that's all they're worried about.
It's whether they will handle mine, your money.
Well, that's what I'm telling you, they need an education.
They need to
They
educate,
need an education, all right.
they need to educate some voters and vote them in there
All
too.
of them need to realize that the government has no money to do anything except what they take away from working people. Then they should be a little bit more careful what they take away from working people.
Well, if they ain't got nothing else they can take, they'll come down there and get you batteries and all of that furniture and stuff that you got.
We need a